Jasper, Texas, 1998, for J. Byrd. I am a man's head hunched in the road. I was chosen to speak by the members of my body. The arm, as it pulled away, pointed toward me. The hand opened once and was gone. Why and why and why should I call a white man brother? Who is the human in this place? The thing that is dragged or the dragger? What does my daughter say? The sun is a blister overhead. If I were alive, I could not bear it. The townsfolk sing, "We shall overcome," while hope bleeds slowly from my mouth into the dirt that covers us all. I am done with this dust. I am done. When he was 8 years old, George Floyd, called Perry by his beloveds, drew a portrait of himself seated high, reimagined, the accompanying essay he wrote suggests, as a Supreme Court justice, or, with another eye, a king. 38 years later, he was lynched beneath the knee of racist, white supremacist police officer Derek Chauvin in the broad of day. Dust and grime pressed into Mr. Floyd's smashed cheek as he cried out, "I can't breathe, my face," his body brought as low then as it had once been high when he imagined himself as a child reigning over an unjust world. Think of the seat of justice that was Floyd's dream, what he believed was due him, the seat of justice that failed him, not just years later, but arguably from his birth. See then what Catlett depicts in Civil Rights Congress. A small black boy, his face serene, innocent, his face turned slightly as if dreaming, oblivious of the rope coiled around his feet, oblivious of the reaper cast as ghastly clansmen at his back, oblivious of the hand of righteous change protecting him from death and from racism. The boy Catlett depicts might as well have been George, the hopeful child assured even then of what was in his heart, a will to judge fairly. What might the ghost of George Floyd say to this world, to the police who murdered him? In her poem, Jasper, Texas, 1998, Lucille Clifton captures not only the horrific death of James Byrd Jr. in Jasper, Texas, but also the readied noose that Catlett also depicts, a noose in the form of a knee that awaited George Floyd, born 2 hours south of Jasper in Houston, Texas. Why and why and why should I call a white man brother? Lucille, a black mother, poses through the power of her poem, remembering Byrd, a black son, foreseeing Floyd, yet another. She asks, too, what will my daughter say? We all heard 6-year-old Gianna Floyd, who is the same age as my son, announce with a smile as big as her father's wings, "Daddy changed the world." And she, like children so often are, is right, though it pains that he was made to suffer to bring this change, should it endure, to pass. My son was 2 months old when Mike Brown was shot and killed by former police officer Darren Wilson, then left in the street for 4 hours. My boy's long legs, uncommonly spindly for a newborn, spilled from his pillow as his father and I discussed his future and ours. When would we tell him how to respond when inevitably he would be stopped by a cop for no other reason than his blackness? When, we wondered, would we tell him about racism, about his skin being so magical that they, white supremacists, have hunted it for centuries? When our son Mays breathed his first, I breathed a maternal double consciousness, to use Du Bois's phrase, with my burden as this: the expected worry that accompanies the life of a mother and the specified burden carried by mothers to black children and especially black sons. To be a black mother, as both Catlett and Clifton were, as I am, is a revolutionary act. For you enter the battlefield of a war that seeks to take your son from you. As artists, Clifton and Catlett understood, as I do, not only legacy but also love, not only evil but also light, not only the plow of the artist's hands that is our dedicated work, but also the seeds that must be planted, then buried into the ground. There is a determination that what racism would seek to bury before their time, our children, is inhumane and seeks to rip power from us, maternal power, artistic power, the power of our will. Catlett laid hands on wood and marble and linoleum and breathed on it like water, making it turn for her this way, that way, making of it a face, a body, so elegant it washes over you as an elixir. Clifton sat at her desk and churned out language like butter, strung words together that pricked, did something to the mind much like the stinging and singing of bees. I experienced 2 miscarriages in 2012. During the same year, I was awarded a fellowship from the Cave Canem Foundation, founded 25 years ago by poets Toy Derricott and Cornelius Eady, to create not just a safe space, but a home for Black poets to develop both creatively and professionally. I met Danez Smith during the fellowship's annual retreat that year, which takes place on the lushly green lawns of the University of Pittsburgh's campus in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, where for 1 week each summer, except this one due to COVID-19, Black poets gather to plant, plow, put seed in the ground, and watch each other come up green in a manner of fellowship and community so daring, intimate, and life-giving, so delicate and so raw, there is little other way to describe it other than church itself or what it means to be baptized. And if you believe in salvation, it is that, as it was for me. Danez, a poet and activist born and raised in the Twin Cities, is one of the youngest poets in history to be nominated for the National Book Award for his collection, Don't Call Us Dead. When Danez saw the destruction done to his city, he did not condemn the protesters, even as he lamented seeing his neighborhood and that of his grandmother charred and broken, almost, but not quite, like a body. What he did with those burned buildings is what I know of him. He collected what was broken to make something grow by taking up a broom and assisting with cleanup efforts, and by utilizing his vast social media following to raise funds, as he called out, to get food, supplies, toys for kids, and anything else necessary for Minneapolis and the rest of the Twin Cities. I see Danez tending to his city and the complexities of necessary protest, and the vandalism we now know was largely carried out by outside forces, including plainclothes cops, much in the way he tended to our friendship and the fracture in me. After losing 2 pregnancies, I wanted more than anything I have ever wanted in the world, other than for my son to grow to become an old man, much like a tree planted that shall not be moved. In Catlett's A Second Generation, the faces of 2 black men look forward with the intention of arrows, with the backdrop a flame that, though it burns, will not, does not, and cannot consume them, for they arguably are the fire, capitalized by the bodies in blue marching in protest beneath them, perhaps for them, with upraised arms that sign, as we know it, a call for liberty, but with power that does not flinch. I'm going back to Minnesota, where sadness makes sense. Oh, California, don't you know the sun is only a god if you learn to starve for him? I'm bored with the ocean. I stood at the lip of it, dressed in down, praying for snow. I know, I'm strange. Too much light makes me nervous, at least in this land where the trees always bear green. I know something that doesn't die can't be beautiful. Have you ever stood on a frozen lake, California? The sun above you, the snow and stalled sea, a field of mirror, all demanding to be the sun too. Everything around you is light, and it's gorgeous, and if you stay too long, it will kill you. And it's so sad, you know? You're the only warm thing for miles, and the only thing that can't shine. I find the somber peacefulness in Danez's poem, I'm Going Back to Minnesota, where sadness makes sense, a juxtaposition for the fire in Catlett's A Second Generation. In Danez's poem, the persona attempts to reconcile that while they should experience serenity at the lip of the ocean, there is instead a dis-ease. Might it be this? How can a body that knows it is hunted stand still, even in beauty? For are we not called to take up arms, much like the raised arms in Catlett's A Second Generation? Undoubtedly, as a poet who chronicles the untimely, sorrowful deaths of black men, from Mike Brown to Trayvon Martin, and now George Floyd, I can see Danez as they thrust into imagination. If you stay too long, it will kill you. And it's so sad, you know? Perhaps what kills is silence. Perhaps what kills is beauty that ignores pain. To fight, even in the face of the blues that Danez captures at the end of the poem. You're the only warm thing for miles, and the only thing that can't shine.